Welcome back, everybody, to the Allen Hour. Dylan and Andrew ready to roll with you here on another night during the week. Well, I don't know why I said during the week, but today's Wednesday night. Breaking down the Yankees-Guardians 3-game sweep. Beautiful stuff from the Yankees altogether. Some great late-game heroics from some individuals we'll talk about. Today, the finale of the game of the series, the finale game of the series was a great all-around game from the Yankees. And a nice way to cap off things after what looked like it was going to be shaky, right? Angel Martinez hits a home run to start the game. Not a great start, but then the Yankees kind of take advantage of some mistakes from the Guardians fielders, and they're able to kind of build off of that 1-0 deficit, get out in front 3-1, and kind of, they had to battle a little bit here and there throughout the third game, so it was a nice battle-tested game, but overall, Andrew, great series.
Yeah, great series, and it's a team that we struggled against last week without Judge, and we went into them again this week on the road without Judge again, and we got the sweep. And we didn't hope for the sweep. We always hope for the sweep, but I don't think we really thought the sweep was possible.
No.
In a lineup that doesn't have Aaron Judge, but we got it, and it's the first sweep that we've had in the month of June, obviously. It's the first sweep that we've had without Aaron Judge, the first sweep that we've had against a team over 500 this year. So Couple nice things, and I think the nicest thing, and I'm sure I'll dive into this deeper, more into the episode, was how well the bullpen played, because I think the path to victory without Aaron Judge is extremely lenient on pitching, and for us, it was more starting pitching, just because they've gone so deep into games and been so good that we thought the path to victory would be probably, in a series like this, if you told me they swept, I probably would have said most of their starters went 7 innings, 6-7 innings, first one right off the bat there, 6-7 innings, and that wasn't the case, and they still swept the series, so it was really, really nice to see that as well.
Yeah, like I said, just a very well-put-together series, and you're right. They have to be reliant on the bullpen in games like this where the offense is not going to be as lights out as it normally is without Judge in the lineup. They got some instant production from Spencer Jones, which was nice. Still looking for Ali Sanchez to kind of take off, but, we're not really expecting a ton from him, but just that's kind of more of a note personally, just because he's one of the newer faces on the team, and when Wells comes back, he'll likely be the one sent down. I imagine they'll keep Escara, but we'll see how that kind of unfolds. But so he really hasn't cracked into this lineup yet. But besides him, the offense really was just moving along. I thought they had some really nice base running moments in this series as well. And again, they took advantage of a lot of Guardians' defensive mistakes, which is always nice to see. Your team not sleeping and making plays when they're making mistakes. So that was nice to see. The Yankees had a collision today in the outfield between Trent and Caballero, who was out in right field, not at shortstop. VOLPE was at shortstop, which
we're going to get into that as well.
You know what? We might as well just get into that now.
Sure.
Because I think that's what everyone wants to hear about.
I think when you make the thumbnail of this video, I think it should be VOLPE-centric. I think it should be. Because I think that discussion has gotten loud enough.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the biggest question is not so much why is he playing. Maybe that even is the question. But him starting at short over Caballero after it seemed so apparent throughout the first half of the year when VOLPE was hurt, the way that Jose Caballero was playing, that it was his job, and then they didn't call up VOLPE right away when they could have. Yeah. They kept him down in AAA, right? It was they very much told you candidly, like, hey, this is Caballero's job. VOLPE, we know what you've done with the team past years. You've started here, but this is not your position anymore. We got out and got a guy like Caballero at the deadline in case a situation like this arose. And now we're in a spot where Caballero has been off the IL for some time now, and VOLPE's been at the major league level solely because of that IL stint, and they haven't moved him down to AAA. They haven't benched him. And he's starting it short. And I know the injury to Judge maybe changes that, but is that really going to be the hill you die on, Boone, that the injury to Aaron Judge is what's keeping VOLPE in this lineup? Because you can put a guy like Caballero in right field after you just called up Spencer Jones, who is a true outfielder, and maybe you didn't like the pitching matchup in today's game. Yeah. But again, is that really the hill you're going to die on?
I can't imagine that's the reason, although I do think when Jason Dominguez eventually makes his return that VOLPE will likely be the corresponding move. I think they're probably going to keep both Spencer Jones and Jason Dominguez up here, just because when Judge was healthy, they did keep the 4 outfielders. So I think Spencer Jones and Jason Dominguez will both switch between that fourth outfielder. So there's some solace in that I think Anthony Volpe will eventually be sent down. But the whole thing is really, it's kind of a scam, right? Because as you mentioned, Anthony Volpe lost the job, and he only is back on the team because Jose Caballero got hurt. And Jose Caballero hasn't been hurt for a long time now. And to think that, like, is putting Volpe at shortstop today, just talking about today's game, is putting Volpe at shortstop and Caballero in right field that much more valuable than putting Caballero at shortstop and just letting Spencer Jones hit against lefties? Like, I don't know off the bat, and I don't know where to find minor league splits for this. I don't know how good Spencer Jones is against lefties. I assume it's worse than what he is against righties, because that's the case for most right-handed or left-handed hitters. Usually same-side pitchers are a lot better against them. But it can't possibly be worse than what Anthony Volpe has been producing offensively. And it's not like you can tell me, well, they probably want Volpe at shortstop because he's a better defender than Caballero. That has not been the case. Volpe, I think, has been better than he was last year, but last year he was really below average. So I think he's about an average shortstop when he's been up here. The whole thing does not make sense. Boone's quotes on Talking Yanks do not make sense. Him saying that, and credit to Jimmy and Jake, who both kind of get ripped a little bit on social media for not going too far in depth on big issues like that. That was one that Jimmy, I know personally because I worked there, was very upset about going into that day, and then very upset during the episode. So it was nice to see him at least press him a little bit, because it seems like we've gone back to just running Volpe out there all the time, and I thought that's what we got away from. And he's crediting it to great defense, which, sure, I think his defense has been decent. I don't think it's been great or nearly at a Gold Glove level where it once was. And he's saying he's getting unlucky, which no number in this stratosphere backs that up. Like, unlucky, hitting the ball hard, unlucky is what he's insinuating. And there's no numbers to back that up whatsoever. So I don't know what this is. It's the Anthony Volpe derangement syndrome.
And he misplayed a couple balls this series.
Yeah, he hasn't been perfect.
No,
he has not been perfect. And it's extremely frustrating because we finally felt like we turned a stone. Is that the term?
Turn the page.
Well, turn the page is another.
Turn every stone is like making sure you've checked every avenue.
We
You've
finally
checked
felt
every
like
outcome.
we turned the page a little bit with Anthony Volpe, and I wasn't necessarily against bringing him up with Caballero got hurt. Like, that makes sense. He's your most experienced outfielder in the minor leagues. It wasn't going to be a long-term thing. But, like, we kind of expected that to be the end of it. And to Volpe's credit, when he came up here, he played very well. Like, in those first 5 games or so, we saw a different identity. I've mentioned it time and time again about the walks, but that's completely gone away. And he's now in his last 15 games hitting 167 with a 483 on OPS. And Caballero in that same stretch, his OPS isn't great. It's a 656, but that's 200 points higher than Volpe, and his batting average is 255, which is almost 100 points higher. So it's not like Caballero's been bad in that stretch.
Now, granted, if you look at the numbers for both of these guys offensively in the series, both comparable through 10 at-bats in 3 games, just 2 hits for Caballero, 1 hit for Volpe. So, I mean, if you were looking at it from just this series, sure, you could say, well, Caballero didn't really show out. But again, a lot of this is based just on what Boone and seemingly the rest of the Yankee organization was telling you how they felt about that position, right? Caballero holding that position this entire time until he got hurt. And then it made sense to bring up a guy like Volpe.
Yes.
Because although I want to see Lombard, I feel like that day is somewhere in the distant future. He still has to figure himself out in the minors, like go through 100%. That process. And it was the logical decision, right? To have Volpe come up, play a position he has played for a couple of years, has experience doing, right? And maybe he catches a streak where he can hit the ball. But at the very least, you get some decent defense with it. So that made sense. But now that he's back, Caballero that is, and now he's in right field playing third, like he's just all over. And I get that that's his kind of what he was known for when you got him. But that doesn't mean you can't adjust based on how he's playing this year and keep him as your primary shortstop. Because now with McMahon hitting as well as he has in recent weeks, you have to keep him at third for the majority of these games, right? And Jazz has been playing a little bit better. You're keeping him at second. And so Ahmed Rosario, now you try and figure him out a way to get him in the
who's
lineup.
played outfield too.
Who has played some outfield, but it's not ideal to have him out there. But then again, the biggest thing is that Spencer Jones was called up, so they're obviously not relying on Caballero to be the long-term outfield option. So at some point, they're going to have to give the workload to Jones and have to pick between Volpe and Caballero full-time at short. So let's just do it now. Like, what are we waiting for?
Well, I just don't think they like the lefty-lefty versus Spencer Jones, which I don't think is necessarily fair.
That's not fair at all.
Because I think a 60% version of what Spencer Jones does against righties, if he does that against lefties, I still think that's a better offensive product than Anthony Volpe, and you're still getting a better defensive glove. Now, given Jose Caballero does a great job, he can play everywhere, but he's still not the defensive glove that Spencer Jones is out there at his native position, and Jose Caballero has said time and time again, he really enjoyed, he likes how versatile he is, but he really enjoyed consistently being at shortstop and doing that every single day and knowing that's the position he's going to play. I don't know. They have some attachment to Anthony Volpe again. I think it's going to end once Jason Dominguez comes up. But if it doesn't, I mean, it's going to be a real problem because he's shown you exactly what he's shown you the last 3 years. This is the player that he is. This is the player that he has been. It shouldn't be a shock to anybody. No. But for some reason, it seems like the Yankees think he's going to turn the page and become this awesome major league hitter. I haven't seen it. We haven't seen it for 4 years. I don't really know where we go from
Volpe
here.
himself hasn't seen it. He's shown it to nobody.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest. So I besides the fact that he was a first-round pick, and they're hoping that he doesn't become this like all-time bust type of player, maybe that's what they're trying to hold on.
Yeah, I'm sure that it is. I'm sure he works incredibly hard behind the scenes, and everybody's rooting for him to do well, but it just is what it is. I mean, it's either you could play at this level or you can't, and so far he has shown he cannot. And I'm not saying that Jose Caballero is like this all-time hitter compared to him. Their career numbers are pretty similar offensively. But there's a thing that Jimmy uses on Talking Yanks. He calls it empty game rate, and Jose Caballero seemingly never has an empty game. He always does something, and I've said that to you as well. Whether he's stealing bases, whether he's getting in the pitcher's head,
That's why you picked him to be an MVP.
Right,
a couple
right.
Weeks
That's
ago.
what
it didn't work out, but
he always makes a positive impact on a game. And he can make, he can have a great hit and have 2 errors. I'm not saying a net positive impact. Just at some point, he seems to always make an impact. And Volpe, on the other hand, it seems like, okay, maybe he'll have 2 home runs in one game in a week, but the rest of the week he's not doing much. So how much is he really benefiting you on a game-to-game basis? I think it's not even close. Jose Caballero is the much better player in that regard.
And he's the type of player that can get under the opponent's skin. And I know maybe regular season-wise it's not that important, but come playoff time where you're facing a team 5, 6, 7 times in 2-3 weeks, you're seeing the same faces. Like, that can really affect the team over the course of a series. So I think just even that, I know that probably won't even there's no way to track that. It's very subjective based, but I do think that that's a factor of his game that you even see it today where he does it all year. The pitcher doesn't lock eyes with him. He's nagging with the umpire. He's like, dude, he's not looking at me. He's like throwing the pitcher out of his funk. He's just kind of like throwing the game a little wrench in what's the saying? He's throwing a monkey wrench into the plans. Like he's just breaking up the game.
Yeah.
Not making it so consistent. So he finds a way to make his impact known. You're right. Volpe doesn't have that, and so when he's not doing anything on the field, it's like he's not there. So,
yeah, and you mentioned there's no tangible stat to track that from Jose Caballero, but you can just go right to what he says. I mean, the guy embraces that part of his game. He acknowledges he's not going to be Aaron Judge. He acknowledges he's not going to be Cody Bellinger. He's not going to hit 50 home runs in a season. He's not going to do what those guys do consistently. And he said, like, I need an edge, and that's the way I get an edge. I try and get into pitchers' heads. I try and get them to pitch to me more, stuff like that. So there's no tangible stat to back any of that up. But I mean, he takes pride in it, and he does it all the time. And he's just a more exciting player, a more impactful player. And I think the Yankees know that too. And they made that decision. They made the right decision.
That's what's so That's what's so puzzling is that they made the decision already, and now it's almost like they're second guessing.
Yeah, but why? It wouldn't have been as shocking if they just brought Anthony Volpe back up when he was healthy and were kind of pitter-pattering like this. We would have been like, I mean, it's kind of what we assumed. We would have hated it just as much, but at least it wouldn't have been so shocking. And you're kind of like, well, why did the Yankees not now going back on what they did? Like, Anthony Volpe should not have won them over in these last 3 weeks or however long he's been up. Maybe in the first 5 games he won you over, but man, I mean, and you could say, yeah, small sample size, he's been bad. And it's a small sample size, but it's the same sample we've been seeing for 3 consecutive years before this.
Right, nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed.
Besides the power, really. Like, at least what he would do is he would homer more often than he is now. Like, he's not, the power's not there either.
No, the slugging's not there. And again, the thing that I pointed to was the 5 walks or the 7 walks in the first 5 games. So if you look at the advanced stats that apparently Boone is looking at, but only looking at certain things, I don't even know what he's looking at. But if you look at the advanced stats, yeah, his walk rate is very high, but that's literally because of those 7 walks in those 5 games. I mean, in the next 15 after that, he's walked 4 times. So that walk rate is not high there either. And yeah, I don't know what he's looking at. Like, his average exit velo is bottom of the league. His barrel percentage, bottom of the league. Hard hit percentage, bottom of the league. Bat speed, bottom of the league. So I don't know what advanced numbers he has that I don't. Maybe they do have something in there that's saying he's a little unlucky, but the stats that I use to determine whether a player is unlucky or not, the stats that we use to tell you to invest in Trent Grisham, and it has been working out, do not suggest that Anthony Volpe is going to turn it around whatsoever. In fact, it suggests that he's exactly who we thought he was this entire time.
So let's get to game 1 of the series, because
there was a happy conversation in here.
Like, that was the more pressing discussion.
Absolutely.
Just because I know a lot of people that watch the show, or just any Yankee fan that maybe is tuning in for the first time, which, by the way, if you are new to the channel, subscribe.
Please do.
Like the video. We really do appreciate it. Follow us online as well. All our social medias are here and in the description below. And we're here after every single series this year. We've been doing it since the start. So if you're looking for some Yankee content throughout the year, the postseason, all of it, this is the place to be. But for game 1, yeah, I mean, again, this was a series sweep. Like, let's not forget, the Yankees went into an opposing team's ballpark, won 3 games out of 3 against a team that's likely going to win the Central.
Without their MVP superstar,
right?
Aaron Judge.
Without Aaron Judge, with Volpe starting, like, essentially giving themselves a handicap already. Like one hand behind their back type of thing. They're like, yeah, let's see if you can beat us with one hand, that kind of thing. Like you're playing like a younger sibling or something. But yeah, this game against Gavin Williams, this was the one that I thought the Yankees would have the most trouble in, just because Williams is a really good pitcher, and he's kind of the type of guy that I see going 7 innings with like 1 or 2 run ball, 10 strikeouts, where the Yankees are susceptible to having games like that allowed against certain pitchers in the league. Nathan Eovaldi being one. That happened twice. Didn't happen this time around. The Yankees had Will Warren in this game, which you were optimistic about, Andrew, since the Guardians had not faced him yet this year.
Yeah.
For him, he finished 4 1/3, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 5 strikeouts, 91 pitches. So the Guardians, in what they did most of the series, they were able to work a ton of pitches throughout the starters of these games. So that was kind of the one thing the Guardians did really well and consistent throughout this series. Not a lot of length out of the starters for the Yankees. Gavin Williams himself went 5 innings, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 5 strikeouts. But the Yankees threw the first big punch in this game, a first inning 2-run bomb from Paul Goldschmidt, Andrew, your boy, who kind of set the tone. And again, this was a back and forth game, so it didn't set the tone for the win, but it did. It was the first big punch out of many thrown in the game.
Yeah, and it was a series where Ben Rice was not the star, but the guys around him definitely were. And like you mentioned, I mean, it started off right in game 1, right? Grisham goes down on strikes. I believe Ben Rice walks on 5 pitches, and that strike, was debatable too. So really, again, not pitching to Ben Rice, and it's against a righty for Paul Goldschmidt, who the more he's played, the better he's gotten against righties. For a while, and we mentioned like he was probably struggling against righties just because he hasn't seen them a ton. And now that he's getting more run, he's starting to see them more. And right off the righty, and Gavin Williams, makes him pay for essentially not pitching to Ben Rice with a 2-run home run.
Yeah,
so that was huge.
And you mentioned that McMahon was playing better. He had a home run in this one in the 5th.
Right off the top of the wall.
Which made it 4-3. That deemed a challenge, where they had to review that.
Yeah, it was originally ruled a double off the top of the wall, but they reviewed it. Yeah. It went over the yellow line. I believe 5 of his 7 home runs this year have been to the opposite field, which is pretty surprising for McMahon.
I mean, I'll tell you what, it's fun. I bet you they acquired him. Obviously, he has power, but they were hoping he would use the short wall in right field to his advantage. Now he's just hitting everything to left field.
Yeah, it's true. He's going the other way.
But that's honestly, I know it's resulting in home runs, but even if they were just singles, I'd much rather that than him roll over on a bunch of stuff and ground out to second, which potentially double play balls, whatever the case may be. I'd rather you hit it to left field and have like no homers than you just keep trying to pull everything, because then it makes it so easy to pitch against you if you're not adjusting. Martinez had his first homer of the series in this one in the 6th inning, which gave the Guardians a 5-4 lead. It was a 2-run shot. So again, very back-and-forth game. And then you get to the later innings, down a run, the Yankees in the 8th. Goldschmidt had an RBI where he reached base. Grisham had scored, which tied it, and then the game went to extras. Bednar had a great outing. I think he had an inning and 2/3 recorded in this game. He got the win. And for a change, the Yankees finally, Andrew, come through in a road game in extra innings, where they usually are the worst team on planet Earth in road games in extra innings. They can't get the hit to drive in the run, and usually it's tied going into the bottom half of the inning. But Bellinger this time in the 10th delivers with a 2-run single.
Yeah, and there was a frustrating point in the 8th, not to back it up too much, where Bellinger got a big hit, and it was 1st and 3rd with 1 out, and Jazz hit a ball hard right at Rocchio, who was like practically standing on second base, turned that double play, so that was annoying. And yeah, I mean, it's gotten to the point where when we get to extra innings on the road, we kind of just look at each other and say, all right, like, expect the loss here at this point. I mean, because that's what they've essentially shown us. But yeah, I mean, that's what they are relying on when they're on the road. They don't bunt guys over, and they don't, do the sac fly, which if it was a 5-5 game in the bottom of the 10th, the reason why they win so much at home is because they know exactly what they have to do, right? They're really reliant on the big hit because, they want to score as many runs as possible, and they got the big hit. So, I mean, it's not surprising to me that they got the win. It's more surprising that they got the big hit, usually something they can't do.
I wanted to mention, now that I'm looking at it, with the sweep, the Yankees, obviously they've won 4 in a row, dating back to the last game of that Boston series.
Yep.
The Rays are also on a 3-game win streak, so both teams tied for first place as it stands, and with the sweep on the other side of things for the Cleveland Guardians, losing 4 straight, the Chicago White Sox are now a half game up on them in the Central. They've won 2 in a row, so just a little standing update there. So Guardians, I mean, it's only a half game, but still and they don't have Murakami for Chicago, so nice of them to get to first place. The Yankees tied for first, but we go to game 2.
Yeah.
Another close game, 3-2 final. Another game where the Yankees had to claw back late in the game. Jazz, the hero late in this one, 8th inning, home run. Just, like I said, Jazz has been playing better, and this was kind of his moment of the series.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know, I've made a lot of predictions on this show, but I feel like there's been a couple times where you've come to me at the end of the show and been like, any final words, and I would make some random prediction for the series. And I think the first time it was Austin Wells is going to hit his first home run against the Rays, and I think he did that. And at the end of the last episode, if you guys watched until the end, I did say Spencer Jones was going to go ahead and hit his first career home run this series. And it happened to be, 2 of the 3 runs that we ended up scoring in this game, in game 2. Yeah, he hit the home run. I think the ball, they said, was only like 80 feet in the air, which is essentially a line drive. And it was hit 443 feet to dead center. I mean, I've told you guys, like,
the crazy
if
launch
this guy gets the ball, man, if he hits the ball, he swings so damn hard. His bat speed's at the top of the league already. If he just connects, the thing's going to go a long way. And he's been connecting a lot ever since he's come back up. And it was a massive home run to get you out to a 2-0 lead right away. And a guy that didn't struggle against Slade Cecchione last week because he wasn't on the roster last week, right? And the whole team struggled against this guy last week. He comes up, hits a 2-run home run, says, you didn't face me last week. Well, now you're facing me this week. Absolute bomb. Nuke show.
No, it was a nuke.
I'm so pumped about this guy, dude. I'm so pumped about this guy. And I work with essentially one of his best friends that he grew up with, and he's telling me that this guy could hit lefties, and I want them to give him a shot so badly, because not to bring up the Volpe thing again, but there is no way lefty Spencer Jones is worse than Volpe anything offensively. There's just no way.
I agree. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah, and last series he went 3 for 3, and you sat him the next game because he faced a lefty. And now this series, he hits his first home run, has another hit in the game as well, and you bench him the next day for lefty. I think you got to run the guy out there because he's hot right now. Let him go out there and hit against lefties. Let him show you he can't hit against lefties. Don't just assume he can't.
Because the thing is too, like, why even call the guy up if you're going to play him half the games, give him half the opportunity, and then at the end of it you're just going to go, well, he didn't do too well. So we'll send him back down. You got to give the guy something to work with. Like, if you're going to call him up and have these expectations to keep him on the roster, and I understand sometimes it's fair and it's unfair, and that's just how it is. Maybe people are saying we're being unfair for Volpe, not giving him the shot he deserves, right? But I could argue he's had 2 years full of a shot to work with.
Yeah.
And he's had more run this year than he should have had. So I think Spencer Jones, I agree, is deserving of way more run, more opportunity against lefties. And again, let him go out there and prove your doubts, right?
Yeah.
The worst that can happen is that you're right. The best thing that can happen is that you're wrong, and all of a sudden he's consistently just hitting lefties.
Your alternative is Anthony Volpe.
Right.
Your alternative is not like Ahmed Rosario, who's like this known, 800 OPS hitter against lefties. Your alternative is Anthony Volpe. Give the guy a shot, man. We know what Anthony Volpe is. We know he's not going to hit well against lefties. We know he's not going to hit well against righties. Part of the frustration here is when the Yankees were facing a righty in this lineup, they were so lefty-packed at the bottom of the lineup, they're throwing lefties in at the end of the game, and it actually ended up working out because Jazz Chisholm ended up hitting a home run against a lefty, but they're not afraid to throw lefties up against Anthony Volpe. If you have Jazz Chisholm, if you have lefty, righty, lefty, and Anthony Volpe's that righty, they're not saying, oh shit, we can't throw in the lefty now because Anthony Volpe's up. They don't give a crap, man. It completely ruins the lefty lane too. Yeah, there's just no advantage to having Anthony Volpe in the lineup right now. There's no advantage.
This was another game where the Yankees struggled against Cecchione. They had 6 hits over 5 innings, only able to get those 2 runs, as you mentioned, with the Spencer Jones bomb. But besides that, couldn't get anything else across home plate, 7 strikeouts. So I don't know what it was about his pitching that kind of just fooled the hitters over 2 starts in a week span. But
it's impressive.
Cecchione, impressive stuff from him.
Yeah.
The one thing I mentioned about this series, Andrew, and again, apparent in this game, the Guardians were able to work at bats, get these starters out of the games early. Cole only went 4 innings in this second game, 83 pitches, struck out just 4, so it wasn't like he was striking out 10 guys and the pitch count got up there. Like, they were fouling off pitches, they were seeing pitches. They made him and all the starters work in the series, so the bullpen had a lot of runs. So again, besides the fact we talk about Spencer Jones and Jazz coming up big with those hits, I'm impressed with how much the bullpen was relied upon. And they answered the call pretty much every time, except the first game where it was kind of back and forth a little bit. In this game specifically, you look at Fernando Cruz. They avoided using Bednar in a 1-run game, which ended up being a 1-run game after going into the 8th and the 9th against the Guardians. Fernando Cruz, 1 2/3, 4 strikeouts. Mm-hmm. So 4 of his 5 outs were via the strikeout. Yep. Ball was not put in play. So beautiful stuff from Fernando Cruz in the bullpen, kind of picking up Cole and not allowing a single run the rest of the game.
Yeah, and it was
nice.
Big because they seemingly used every other pitcher in their bullpen the day before except Fernando Cruz. And normally in an extra inning game like that, Fernando Cruz is in there 100% of the time. And Aaron Boone kind of laughed that he was like excited that they got a win without Fernando Cruz because in a lot of winning scenarios, Fernando Cruz is that guy.
Yeah.
So he was the only one going into the next game with rest, and he came in a big spot and gave Bednar, like you said, the day off. And I think the biggest thing for me, and we swept the series. Obviously, the bullpen pitched very well. This is a team that I'd be scared to face in a 5-game series, I think, in the playoffs, just because of how pesky they are. Now, the Yankees bullpen is going to be completely different. We've talked about that a bunch. But can the Yankees rely on their bullpen again in a 5-game series against this team? Because if they're as pesky as they have been these last 2 series we faced them, if they're exactly like that when we play them in the playoffs, that's going to be a lot of innings for the bullpen like we've seen. Now, it worked out this time, thankfully, but we know that the bullpen is not our strong suit. It's probably the weakest spot on the team. So going into a 5-game series against the Guardians in the playoff, do I trust the bullpen to hold it down? Again, it will look different. We'll see how the different stuff performs. But yeah, a little scared if I had to go into a 5-game series with them right now.
And I think the Yankees should take a note or take notes from the Guardians, how they were able to work at bats against these starters, because the Yankees, they weren't throwing out Joe Schmoes on the mound. Like, these are good starters.
Yeah, very good
and
starters.
On the other end, when you look at the way the Yankees played against these starters, not as impressive, and the strikeout numbers were still there, and they weren't working as many at-bats. They were going into games longer. And you look back at the last series against some of the same guys as well. Like, I think the Yankees, as good as they are at working walks for the most part, I think a lot in some of these games where the pitcher really outduels them, it's very glaring that they're just struggling. They just can't seem to work walks. They're striking out a ton. Like, they need to somehow figure out a way to foul more pitches off, work more walks, get these guys out of the games earlier. I know 5 innings seems like it's early, and I guess it kind of is, but when you only scored 2 runs in the 5 innings and he's at 87, like he could have gone a 6th and probably finished through 6 innings. But I just think in the grand scheme of things, maybe not nitpicking this game specifically, but the walks too, that they need to get these guys out of games earlier. And I think maybe some of that has to do with early at-bat aggression. We've seen this a lot, especially from Ben Rice. When he thinks he's getting a fastball first pitch, he's attacking. He's not even going to try and work and count. And maybe you could say that's justifiable with how he's playing this year, and I'd probably agree with you. But I just think that some of these other guys, like the Volpes, the Caballeros, start taking some pitches. Like, you should not have first pitch green light. I understand maybe it's the best pitch he's going to get. Well, guess what? Take the risk. Because I'd rather you work a 5-pitch, 6-pitch at bat than you fly out on the first pitch because you thought it was going to be the best pitch you're going to get in the at bat. Like, make these guys throw you strikes. If they're going to throw borderline strikes, you got to live with it. But, like, make these guys work. Don't make their lives any easier. I watched a Trevor Bauer YouTube video the other day, and he had said that he prefers when guys are aggressive in counts because all you have to do is mix up the first pitch. Throw 2 or 3 pitches that you can throw for a strike, that you know you can. You can box it, and you'll be fine. You'll get these guys off balance throughout your start. If you keep throwing fastball, they're going to eventually catch on. But if you mix up your first pitch to a lot of these guys, they're not going to know which is coming. They're being overly aggressive. You can just start throwing stuff. So you're kind of putting the pitcher at an advantage. Ben Rice is an all-world hitter. I think he kind of has that exception. Some of the lower guys in the lineup, I think, should be more focused on working at bats. So that's kind of one of the takeaways I took from this game and just kind of as a whole from the season so far.
Yeah, and there's a stat, pitches per plate appearance. I can't locate like the team stat right now, but I'd assume the Yankees are decent at that. I feel like a lot of their guys do work counts. But to your credit,
Trent Grisham, definitely. He's one of the better ones in the lineup that does.
Trent Grisham, I think like in totality, Ben Rice is probably up there as well. Judge was good at it too.
But when you're watching these games, you see the early pitch count in the at-bat aggression. It's not maybe the stat favors some guys individually that I'm not mentioning, but just me watching, I feel like they're just very aggressive early in at-bats as a team. And we also talked off air too. McMahon's walk rate is down a bunch from last year. Volpe's not walking. So those are 2 guys that at least have been in the lineup consistently that don't walk.
Jose Caballero doesn't walk.
And Caballero doesn't walk. So that's 3 guys right there that are consistently in the lineup. And while McMahon and Caballero are making their presence known in other ways, and I give them credit for that, I do think having 3 guys in your lineup that are not working walks, that maybe aren't working counts either, and they're being aggressive in at-bats, they should kind of take some notes from the Guardians. And even if they don't record a hit or a walk, but if you kind of came out of it with 6 pitches for the pitcher, he had to kind of work it, I think that's a better exchange.
The Yankees are very good on the walk front. I'm not going to say that they don't walk enough. I think they walk a lot, and they walk at a winning rate. But I'd be interested to see the individual, pitches per plate appearance. It could be a scouting thing too. Like if you see a pitcher is throwing first pitch fastball 75% of the time, you're going to look to swing first pitch, a lot of the times, or second pitch fastball, stuff like that, So there's a lot of analytics that I'm sure go into that decision too, that approach. But look, they struck out a lot in this game, and you can't strike out swinging at the first pitch,
Right, you can't strike out swinging at the first pitch. Understood. And my goal is not to create more walks out of this. It is merely to see 1 more pitches so that better chance that he's out of this game earlier. And 2, by the time your second and third at bat against the same guy, let's say, is coming up, you've seen more of his pitches, and now you're kind of more prepared for an off-speed pitch. You've seen it 3 times in the previous at bat, as opposed to swinging at the first pitch fastball, which again maybe it's the best pitch you're going to get, but if you're recording an out, or even if you're getting a hit, you're doing some damage to yourself not seeing the other pitches, because then they at least have that to fall back on, where he goes, you know what, I gave up a little hit in the first inning, didn't lead to anything, but he still hasn't seen my slider. He's probably thinking I'm going to go first pitch fastball again. Let's just pepper him with sliders. He hasn't seen it at all, and now it's like the most uncompetitive at bat of all time.
Would you be surprised if I told you the Yankees were tied for first in pitches per plate appearance?
Yes, I'd be very surprised.
Well, they are. They on average see 3.96 pitches per plate appearance. That's tied with the Braves for first. So maybe this couple games the strategy changed.
Maybe
again,
that's what
it changed
it is.
pitcher to pitcher. It does change. But overall in the season, they do see a lot of pitches, and I think it's helpful because a lot of their guys at the top of the lineup see a lot of pitches. But I mean, you're right. I mean, the walk rate for a lot of the guys at the bottom of the lineup is not great. I don't think like Jazz Chisholm is a great, walk guy either, and that's another name we can throw out.
Well,
there.
hand up, folks, tied for first. I'll give him props, but I guess maybe it's more of a lately thing that I've noticed, and I don't know if that's ever since Judge has been out of the lineup. They're trying to generate more offense early on. If they know they're going to get a good pitch, they don't have to rely on Judge to maybe come through, or they're just trying to make something done.
That definitely could
that
be
might
true,
be what
right?
I'm
If
seeing,
they
maybe.
think that they're going to be attacked, right? If everybody outside of Ben Rice thinks that they're going to get more strikes now because they want them to make them pay and not Ben Rice, for example, then yeah, maybe they're looking to swing earlier in counts.
So maybe that's it.
So this series, I think it's probably a good thing that you noticed. But overall, it's been okay. It hasn't been an issue. But going forward without Judge, who knows?
It started more as just a mere compliment of the Guardians, because I noticed that they just worked counts and they worked pitch count in general, got the Yankee starters out of these games early, and made it really tough for this bullpen to kind of rebound every single night.
The Guardians are right there with the Yankees too, 3.91. So they're top 10 in the league as well in pitchers per plate appearance.
Yeah, so maybe that, again, it was just what I noticed the Guardians were doing, and I was like, the Yankees aren't doing it this well, so maybe that's kind of what I
think
saw.
they probably pair that 3.91 with probably a lower strikeout rate too. So It's not like, after 4 pitches you go down on strikes. It's after 4 pitches you put a ball in play. They're a pesky team for sure.
Now, credit to Rodon, because he did go deep into the game today.
Yep.
6 innings, 96 pitches. He finished with 7 strikeouts, just 3 earned runs allowed, and just 2 relief pitchers that had to go for the Yankees. So again, a series that involved a ton of names in this bullpen that had Bednar going over an inning in his outing, Fernando Cruz almost 2 innings. So you had a lot of high leverage guys going longer than they normally do, and you only had to rely on Brent Hedrick and Ryan Yarbrough today, which was nice to see. And it was also nice to see Yarbrough not really give up more than just that RBI double in the ninth, because
I agree.
if it had gotten to 8-5 or even 8-6, you might have seen Boone go to somebody from that pen. Now you got a third guy on the list to just close out a game that was evidently over once it hit 8-3 late in the game, and you were kind of like, yeah, I mean, as long as the Yankees don't have a historic collapse, this thing's over. And so as a manager, you're hoping that a guy like Yarbrough can just eat the 2 innings for you, give up 1 run, 2 at most, and just kind of coast you to the win, which he did. So
yeah, this game was awesome. We're talking about the third game.
Third
now.
game, 8-4.
This game was awesome. I mean, it was great. It started right off the bat. Jazz Chisholm hits a triple after a couple guys get on, and Grisham and Caballero. It was very nice. And obviously, you mentioned Angel Martinez hits the home run to take the lead, but the Yankees immediately respond and kind of just didn't give it up from there. So that was really nice to see. Rodon pitching again deep into the game is really nice to see. I think his ERA on the season's now at a 3.2, which if you consider those first 2 shaky starts that he had, it's really impressive. He's really been good. The Yankees relievers in the series pitched 13 2/3 innings and had a 1.98 ERA.
Yeah.
Again,
wow.
Awesome, absolutely awesome. If they pitched 14 innings again against the Guardians, I don't know that 3 runs is the only amount that they give up. I think it's probably more than that. So not to say that we got lucky, but maybe the Guardians, caught this bullpen in a little bit of a hot stretch. Or maybe it's the start of something. Who knows? Because a lot of guys were really good this series. It wasn't just one guy dominating. It wasn't like Fernando Cruz in all these 3 games was dominating. You mentioned he only got that 1 outing. So,
well, listen, my opinion on the opener stuff. I know this wasn't an opener game per se, but when you have 5-6 relievers in one game trying to win you a game, there's a good chance one of them just doesn't have their stuff that night, and the other team just takes full advantage and has an explosion of an inning. That you can't rebound from offensively. So, to your point, they probably did catch the Yankees just for the Guardians speaking, in a bad spot bullpen wise. No one seemingly messed up.
yeah.
There was not one outing from any of these guys that came out of the pen in their 13 innings, which is a lot over 3 games. Didn't really have a big collapse of an inning. Doval even had a good inning in game 2. And I think he earned the win, or he got a hold at the very least. But he had an 8-pitch inning. How many times have we seen that from Doval? It's very rare you see 8-pitch inning with what they hit given up from Doval.
It's probably the first series that they've been anywhere near this number innings-wise, the bullpen, just because of how good the starting pitching has been. And yet the bullpen, despite that, has still been a weakness for most of the season, despite not being used a ton. And, I mean, you can make the argument that we've not had to use a ton of bullpen pitchers but at the same time have had to use like a ton of the same guys. Like it's
the
been a
same
lot
guys,
of Fernando Cruz, a ton of Brent Hedrick, obviously, Bednar and Tim Hill. They've all been used a ton. But yeah, I mean, it was a big series for the bullpen. We do not win this series without the bullpen. I don't know if I'd give an entire staff the series MVP, but
I think you could.
The bullpen definitely deserves to be recognized.
I would allow it. I think they're viewed as a unit.
Maybe I'll make that decision then.
I think they're viewed as a unit.
I just don't know if I can give it to them because I don't know if that's something that I would pick before a series. I'd be like, the bullpen's going to win series MVP.
Right, because you can't really predict how many innings they're going to go.
Right, you don't know
each
how the
game is
games are really going to go.
But listen, it
But
might be
worth
just one
noting.
of those. It might be just one of those performances where you're like, you know what, the one time a year that we're going to give this award to them, they deserve it. It's not like we're giving it to them every month.
I'll say it now. I'm not going to give them the series MVP, but I think they were the most valuable thing about the series.
They're on the honorable mentions.
They were 100% the reason that the Yankees won the series.
So to get back to Game 3, you mentioned is it Angel Martinez?
Angel Martinez, yeah.
Why couldn't it be Angel, man? Like Angel Hernandez. I
It's
wanted to say it so
it's
badly.
never Angel with the Spanish players.
Yeah. He had the home run, 1-0 Guardians, and then Jazz had a 2 RBI triple in the second inning that Martinez misplayed. And I think he was shaken up for a bit, but I think he stayed in the game. And then Jazz scored on an error, which Volpe, initially it was called, I believe, a hit, and they credited him with an RBI. I remember Rucco clarifying later in the game, or that inning, saying that it was ruled an error, so the RBI would not count for Volpe. So he does not have that on his stat line. I remember saying, like, he doesn't have that to show to Boone and be like, hey, I drove in a run today. So at that point, it was 3-1 Yankees. Then in the fourth, the Guardians, that's where they did their damage against Rodon. Austin Hedges had an RBI double. And then Brian Rocchio hit a sac fly to tie it at 3 apiece. Sixth inning, the Yankees took a 4-3 lead off a Caballero sac fly that scored Trent Grisham, which that had a crazy slide at home, by the way.
Yeah.
Caballero hit a somewhat shallow fly ball to left field, so it wasn't like it was right field where he's throwing from a further distance per se, or at least it's a harder throw across everything, right?
You don't get to look at the guy.
You don't get to look at the guy. And Grisham made a nice slide at home.
A really nice slide.
And if you're first tuning into the show, personally, I hate when players slide feet first. This is one of my number one
pet peeves.
Thank you, sir.
We could read minds here.
Thank you.
Yep.
One of my number one pet peeves in baseball. And it bugged me when Rizzo was on this team, as much as I loved him. He slid feet first every time.
Yeah.
I hated it.
And he's an aggressive baseman.
And he's aggressive because you can't control your feet as well as you can your upper body.
You can't control your body.
You can't
when you
manipulate as much your bottom half as you can your top half.
And that's the only reason Trent Grisham was safe. If Trent Grisham slides with his feet there, he's not safe.
And if the throw was like anywhere closer to home plate, he's out. That throw was horrendous.
Yes, but the guy got back in time to make a tag. Like if you were sliding,
correct.
First.
He stumbled, but my point is the throw was way off.
If it
was somewhat of a competitive throw, Grisham is out regardless of the slide. But hey, sometimes you can't control that. And Grisham again, able to maneuver his body where he wasn't, and contort his body where he wasn't out of the base path where he'd be called out. Made it so that only his right hand was taggable. I mean, that's a textbook slide in that scenario. You made yourself pretty much untaggable.
Do you want to know how Trent Grisham got on third to be put in that situation, Dylan?
Didn't he hit a triple, too?
Not only did he hit a triple, he struck out.
That's right.
The guy was down 1-2 in the count, and he struck out, and he said, no. That's not a strike.
Thank God.
No, that's not a strike.
Thank
and it
God.
was not a strike. 2-2, next pitch, bang, triple. ABS is here. ABS is perfect. It's perfect when guys use it. It's meant for that spot. Every time you're sitting at home being like, how much does that pitch really change an entire game? That's proof. One pitch can change an entire game. It can change everything. And, it was awesome. You could check out that video on Bronx Bombers. He also had some expletives that were shared on Bronx Bombers as well that we won't share on this show.
No.
You can also go check that out there. It was very vulgar and sexual, and we will not state that on this program.
SMD. That's all I'll say.
Okay. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. That's it.
Yep. That's what
if you don't know,
Wembanyama is saying to Karl Anthony Towns right now. And he's doing it.
If you don't know,
might like it,
and you search it up, just beware.
Yeah, that's
of
true.
What you might see. Just letting you giving you fair warning, your trigger warning, whatever you want to call it. Just giving you.
Just go on my page and look at it.
Yeah, go look at Bronx
That's
Bombers on
need.
Instagram. 2 S's at the end, and he'll fill you in with what
you'll
missed.
see it.
So Grisham again, game altering triple, and it was off Messick too. which was big. They got him out of this game
and,
after not after that per se, but they kept him. He couldn't complete the 6. They took him out.
And I don't have numbers on this, but I feel like whenever he's been dropped in the lineup because of a lefty pitching, like recently he's been very good. I think last series he had a 3-hit game when he was dropped in the lineup because there was a lefty on the mound, and obviously this game he had another really good game. So just Trent Grisham has just been really good.
Yeah.
Guy's been really good.
He's been awesome.
He's been so
good. He had
good.
a stolen base today as well.
Yeah.
He's been very, very good. And the one highlight of the series and the past couple of weeks for Mr. Volpe, someone that we've been ragging on, he had an RBI double
he did.
in this inning that scored Jazz, made it 5-3, and then Goldschmidt scored Volpe on a single to right field. So that was the 6th inning. The Yankees had a 6-3 lead. And then the 7th inning, Caballero had an RBI single, and then Jazz brought in Grisham on a fielder's choice to second. And that's when it got it to 8-3, Andrew. And it kind of felt that the Yankees were in complete control. I don't want to say out of reach, but just based on only needing to get 9 more outs in the game, up 5 runs, it seemed unlikely that the Guardians would make a full comeback like that with how the Yanks were swinging the bat. So great game from the Yankees, and a good way to cap things off, too, because you had 2 nail-biters in the first 2 games. You used a ton of the bullpen, as we've talked about a ton already. And in this game, Rodon pitches you 6 innings, and you only have to use Yarbrough and Hedrick out of the bullpen. So I think if you asked Aaron Boone, kind of like, besides Carlos Rodon going a complete game with 90 pitches, this was probably the most ideal way to, and then you have the day off now tomorrow.
100% resets
This was
everything.
the most ideal way to finish out a game.
Yeah, it was the most ideal way. And I would be remiss if I did not mention, I think Austin Hedges, the catcher for the Guardians, was trying out for the Yankees this past week. Because I've watched a
He had
decent
another RBI double in the ninth,
I've watched a decent amount of Austin Hedges in my life, and that guy's not known for his bat. Let's just put it that way. And the Yankees are in need of a right-handed catcher who is pretty good defensively, who is, at the same level, if not better than Austin Wells. And I think Austin Hedges, we'd have 2 Austin catchers if this happened. If Austin Hedges was here, I think he'd be a better defender. He's hit just .333 against the Yankees with a .950 OPS. The guy's trying out for the team.
I can already see it.
He wants to be on the squad.
I can already see it.
He sees Ali Sanchez, eating dirt over there. He's not doing anything for us. He wants to be on the team.
33 years old.
And he's a John Boy guy.
33 years old, will be 34 in August.
Yeah.
I can already see, Andrew, if they do acquire said catcher, which, by the way, would be, I mean, not difficult, but the Guardians are a playoff team. I don't know if they would trade somebody to the Yankees,
Maybe
even
not.
if it's a smaller deal, not like a big-time deal for Jose Ramirez or anything crazy like that, but I just don't know if they'd be so receptive to help out a team they may face in the playoffs, and vice versa. Like, do the Yankees want to give up someone that would be major league ready if it meant that to the Guardians that they could face in potentially in the playoffs? So, but let's say that were to happen. Can already see it. Press conferences or with John Boy. Hey, Aaron, so who's going to start a catcher tonight? Austin.
Yeah, he probably
Which
will
Austin?
say that.
Austin.
Yeah, 100%.
He will. He will not say the last name.
And
you
I'm
come
not,
back to this video, I guarantee it. If they trade for Austin Hedges and he's asked who's starting a catcher, Austin.
Look,
that is it.
And I'm not telling you we should trade for Austin Hedges. I don't think we should. Obviously, he had a very good offensive showing against the Yankees over the last week. This guy's not known for his offense. He's not what I'm looking for. But it seemed like he really wanted to be a Yankee this week. That's all I'm saying.
Well, listen, he saw that Volpe's getting spots in the lineup, so he's like, well, I'm not hitting great, but I'm hitting better than this guy.
Yeah,
I could get a shot at that.
If they
Why
just
not?
picked Austin Hedges in the first round and brought him up way too early, he'd probably have 5 straight years of run.
Yeah. And he'd at least be doing wonders behind the plate.
Yeah.
At a decent rate.
He would be. Yeah, don't get Austin Hedges. But nice going.
Yeah, I
tried your
believe you said he hit .333 in the series?
Yeah, well, since last week. I think he played
against the
1
Yankees
game
in
last
total.
week and 2 games this week.
Gotcha.
Against the Yankees.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 doubles in
Yeah,
that final game.
I'm going to throw this stat out there because I know a lot of Yankee fans will like it. He's hitting .264 in the year. Sometimes that ain't so bad to just have consistency in the lineup instead of having guys that you're banking on.
Yeah,
hitting for
he's
extra
not having
base
a
hits.
terrible season offensively.
696 OPS.
He's got 1 home run.
1 home run. But again,
defense is very
for a
good.
guy that we're essentially replacing Austin Wells for, when you're looking at those numbers, it's not too different. But wouldn't you rather take 26% of the time he gets a hit and his OPS is higher, so that would show that he's walking at least, getting on base?
He gets on base 33%.
At least create some traffic, do something offensively.
I just
instead of
feel
an automatic
like
out. I'll take it.
the best version of Austin Wells is probably that player, but Austin Wells hasn't been that, so.
And the
He
best
hasn't even
version
been that.
of Anthony Volpe is long gone. So sometimes, again, you just have to cut your losses and say, you know what? We know that the player, this was a player he once was, but he no longer can get there. And so you kind of just have to
But
accept
Dylan,
fate.
they picked him in the first round, so
Yeah,
they have to start him for at least 4 years.
I am so convinced that's why he's getting as long
have
of a
to.
run as he is.
He was picked
And
in the first
because
round.
he was their World Series starter, like hit 20 home. Like there's just so much going on. I feel they have to try and
and
make
for
this
some
work.
reason,
It's like their own sanity.
their
or something.
other first round pick on the team, they'd rather start Anthony Volpe over when a lefty's on the mound.
Yeah, it makes no sense. Makes zero sense. Let's get to this series MVPs.
Let's do it.
I go first.
You do go first.
I do. See,
Which is a nice series to go first.
It
you have
is.
a lot of options.
A lot of options. I remembered this time.
You did remember this time. Yeah, that is true.
I'm going to pat my own back a little bit here. I'm going to go with my guy. I picked Trent Grisham going into this series. I said he's going to continue being hot despite his road numbers not being nearly as good as they are at home. And what did he do? He had a fantastic series. He got himself on base so many damn times to the point where if I wasn't looking at it right now on my iPad, I would not be able to tell you. It's just like, probably at least 5. I don't know. It's just one of those where you knew the guy was constantly working counts, constantly on base. And then today, we already talked about it, the ABS challenge completely flipped this game on its head, turned it around, and against the guy in Parker Messick, who's been good this year for the Guardians, gets himself in a 2-2 count, makes him pay, puts himself on third with the triple, and puts himself in a spot to now start a run in that inning to build off of that triple to score some runs to get themselves the lead back, right? So I felt that was a huge moment in the series to kind of cap off today's game. But in totality of the series, he hit .412, had a .588 slug, was on base 47% of the time, had a 1.062 OPS. He was fantastic. And he didn't drive in a single run. You know what? And I don't care. Because when you're normally batting leadoff, you're typically not the one bringing guys in, especially with how bad the bottom of this lineup is usually. Usually you're the one setting the tone for the rest of the lineup, setting the table for everybody else.
Yeah.
And that's what he did. He scored 5 times. He had a double, triple, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. I just thought he was fantastic. And I will say he made what looked like was going to be a routine catch, but had to take a whack in the head from Jose Caballero in the first inning of the game today. So that as well, defensively, just thought he had a tremendous series from start to finish.
Well,
righty-lefty was not dependent on either of that. He was just consistently on base, consistently good.
way to pat yourself on the back. I thought we were going to have a moment here where
7 hits.
Where you picked, I think, what stats are you looking at here? I have 5 hits on my screen.
Oh, 4 games. Why does this say 4 games?
What'd you type in on your screwball?
I said
there?
Yankee players' individual stats versus Cleveland this week. And it says 4 games.
Well, they did play Cleveland in the last week.
Oh, so maybe it's totaling that. Oh, well, all right, 5 hits. I don't know. I thought, okay, well. So some of those numbers are a bit off, but the gist, he got on base.
Look,
he had a big ABS challenge today. I know for a fact that happened today.
Yeah, it did happen. He was on base 7 times in the series. He hit 385 with a 1.005 OPS. They were not too far off. They were counting one more game from his extended time in New York.
Too advanced for
But
me.
I thought we were going to have a moment here where you picked my guy and I picked your guy. But I think he was scared that I wasn't going to pick his guy.
I was.
So he went with his guy instead.
I
was going to pick Trent Grisham,
I had to
believe.
guarantee a win in the scorebook this week.
The 2 that I was down to was Trent Grisham and Ryan McMahon.
And you're a sucker for McMahon. I had a feeling you were going to go with him.
I wasn't going to pick Ryan McMahon because it says he played 3 games, but only one of those games, he was a defensive replacement, never got any at-bats. So he had significantly less at-bats than Grisham. So I was going to pick Trent Grisham, but I will now pat myself on the back because you did it first, so I'm going to do it with a guy that I think had a better series than the guy you picked.
That's fair.
He got on base just as many times. He had just as many extra base hits. He had 3 more RBIs than your guy.
My guy had none.
Well, yeah, because my guy was driving in your guy. That's what was happening the whole series.
Right, but without my guy, your guy's not as good. So that's kind of where, again, it's yin-yang.
They played off each other. My guy had a home run in the first inning of the first game of the series. I'm going to take Paul Goldschmidt.
Yeah, that's a fantastic pick.
Paul Goldschmidt hit .417 in the series. He was on base 50% of the time with a 1.167 OPS. The guy continues to be incredible. It literally is starting to look like Paul Goldschmidt of old.
Yeah.
And he's Paul Goldschmidt of old while being old. And it's been awesome because when you have a guy like Judge that goes out, you need a guy to step up. And not necessarily saying Paul Goldschmidt wasn't good when Judge was hitting, but he now has a more consistent role. Really, ever since Giancarlo Stanton went down, he's had a more consistent role. And he's taking advantage of that opportunity so much to this point where I don't know what the Yankees are going to do when they're back to fully healthy offensively. I would love to see like Ben Rice be the catcher going forward. I don't think that's in the cards, unfortunately. But for now, Paul Goldschmidt, he knows his role, and he's been incredible. I'm gonna look up his stats on the year because he's been great. On the year, he's batting .287 now with an .891 OPS. So this is a 900 OPS hitter. Another 900 OPS hitter. For a while, the Yankees really sucked at the first base position. Like they could not figure out first base. And now we have a guy
we have two
having an all-time season in Ben Rice at first base, probably going to be the starter for the All-Star game at first base, and then the 38-year-old former MVP behind him, and Paul Goldschmidt also having a 900 OPS. He's been so good. He's become decent against righties now. It's been really nice to see.
I wish we could have had that cool moment that you talked about, but my selfish ways, I needed. Listen, it's been weeks since I've put in a W for yourself and myself as well. But just we both needed it, and I needed to ensure it. And not to say that you're that kind of guy, but I had a feeling that if I did not, there was a certain trust factor that went into that decision, and I didn't want to take the chance, didn't want to take the gamble.
No, I don't blame you. I don't blame you one bit.
Because I knew you were going to take Paul if I didn't take Trent, and I was going to take Paul if I didn't take Trent. So it was, your guy was going to get mentioned either way. But I had to ensure that Trent, because I wasn't even looking at McMahon, even though he did have a good series. For me, looking at it was between the two.
No, and I think that's the right choice, again, because I don't think Ryan McMahon had enough at-bats. I mean, Paul Goldschmidt had 5 more at-bats than McMahon, and Trent Grisham had 6 more at-bats than McMahon. So, 7 more plate appearances. There was obviously, despite them playing the same amount of games, there was an at-bat game disparity. So I think you made the right choice.
Thank you.
And I think I made the even better choice.
That's fair.
I think Spencer Jones could have gotten it too if maybe he played against a lefty.
If Spineless Boone didn't start Volpe.
He had a nice series as well. And he had a nice series last series too, which is, again, what we need. It's like 2019, next man up mentality all over again. I'm excited to see what Jason Dominguez can do.
Yeah, just no
I don't think they're going to platoon them. I don't think that's possible because Jason Dominguez hasn't been a great right-handed hitter, but he hit a right-handed home run the other day in AAA and was playing right field for the second time in his minor league career.
Yeah, just no juice balls. That's the only thing we're missing from 2019.
That's the only thing we're missing.
That and Judge.
It's going to be interesting when Jason Dominguez comes up. I'm really hoping Spencer Jones is not the corresponding move there. I don't think it will be. I think it will be Anthony Volpe. But it'll be interesting if Jones and Dominguez, when they're on the team together, if that happens, hopefully, how they manage that. Because, again, Dominguez is not he's a switch hitter, but they really like him from the left side a lot better than like him from the right side. And obviously, Spencer Jones can only hit from the left side. So we'll see. We'll see how they manage that.
So let's get to the Toronto series.
Whoa.
The last time I looked at this, when we were on our last episode, I could have sworn the MLB app had some pitching projections. Right now it's TBD, all 3 games. So I don't know what's up with them, but according to ESPN, Trey Savage slated to go Game 1 Friday night against Ryan Weathers.
Okay.
First time the Yankees will be in Toronto since losing the ALDS to them last season. Yeah. So little trip down memory lane, not the good kind of memory for the Yankees.
Sure.
So you kind of hope to see they bounce back against this team, which they split 2-2 the first time they played them at home, which that was a series where they won the first 2 games and you felt great about the series. Or did they lose the first 2 and win the last 2?
No, I think they won the first
2 and
lost the second 2.
And then that Trey Savage start killed them.
It was a series that I felt like we could have swept or could have been swept, and we walked away with a split. So I wasn't incredibly angry about it. I'm just glad the Yankees are going into this series against Trey Savage likely on Friday with a 4-game winning streak. Because if they were not hitting well and it showed, I would not be excited for this. And I think you said that last episode that I would be in quite the mood if we got swept and then had to face Trey Savage.
I was preparing you for that.
Look, I had tickets to go to Toronto Game 5 last year. I would have, I don't know, it was like an 8-hour drive. I would have made the drive. I was very excited to make the drive because after they won that first game at home last year, I was pumped. Luckily, they saved me some money and lost Game 4.
And some hours.
But yeah,
on the
man,
road, some
I don't like
mileage.
the Blue Jays, and they're having a little bit of a recession year after their incredible season last year. So let's go beat them. I mean, we're the first AL team to 40 wins, which also means we're the first AL team to 41 wins. I think we're the best team in the American League.
15 games above 500.
Yeah,
Like, that's not nothing.
We've reached a point now where we're kind of okay. Like, let's go. Let's keep it moving. This is not an above 500 team.
No,
but
they're close.
But they are close, and that's a series that we should win.
And it's a team that can still, that can still do damage, and that did tons of damage.
Yeah,
last
and
year.
I don't love playing in Toronto. I feel like we struggled playing in Toronto.
Always struggle there.
Yeah.
And again, you face Savage, who he could have a 6 ERA against the rest of the majors, but will always pitch well against the Yankees, so long as he can throw that splitter as well as he does, or so long as the Yankees can't seem to figure it out, right? So again, you did preface this by saying I warned you going into this Cleveland series, like
me.
if the Yankees lost 2 out of 3, if they got swept, right, the worst possible outcome, then you got to face Trey Savage Friday night. You're just going to be like just in hell.
I was gonna be in hell.
Luckily, and myself too, because I hate facing
No one
this
wants
guy.
to do that.
Yeah, right now you're in a position where you can afford to lose this game and feel okay about it because you won 3 in Cleveland, you did well, and now you're facing a guy that has had success against you. So long as you play well in the last 2 games, maybe you win the series, winning the last 2. Even if you lose 2 out of 3, I know it's not great, but that Cleveland series kind of set the tone for this series, allowing kind of a series loss. And I don't, again, not saying that they should lose it, but it certainly helps knowing that they swept Cleveland going into this series. Now, Trey Savage being the first game sucks. Ryan Weathers, stop throwing your fastball, please.
Yeah.
I think that should be the biggest thing to look out for.
You
this
can't
game.
really stop throwing the
Stop
fastball.
throwing the fastball.
You just got to mix it up. You
No.
got to throw more sinkers. You got to throw more other stuff.
You stop it right now. No flat. Okay, how about this? No fastballs to Vlad throughout the entire game. I don't care what count or situation. I'm not throwing him a fastball. How about that?
Okay, I can get behind that.
Maybe you do that against select hitters in this lineup
can
because
get
something
behind
has
that.
to give.
I don't want to throw Vlad anything. Can we just not
That's
pitch to him
fine.
the entire series? That would be nice. I mean, he hasn't been great, so I'm not going to say don't throw anything at him.
But again, we've gone through his numbers against the Yankees in Yankee Stadium. The Yankees,
He's been fantastic.
He's fantastic.
He's been
against them.
fantastic.
So it doesn't
I think
matter.
it'll be a fun series. I'm happy that we're rolling into it up coming off a sweep, and let's go get another one, right?
I mean, listen, you always hope for, again, we say it all the time, expect the series win, hope for the sweep, and they did this week, so they kind of did us right on that front. So now we head to Game 2, Toronto, slated to start Cam Schlittler, and then on the MLB app as of right now, it's TBD for the Blue Jays, but on ESPN they have Kevin Gausman going Saturday. That's a 3 o'clock start north of the border. Kevin Gausman, another great starter for the Blue Jays. You could argue consistent-wise, he is their best starter, or Dylan Cease, I guess, this year. He's been really, really good for them, too, which the Yankees do avoid in this series.
Yeah,
which
he just
is
came
nice.
off the IL yesterday, I think.
He had 11 Ks, by the way.
He does that.
He's very good. The Yankees faced him in the previous series against the Blue Jays. They did have some success against him, to credit the Yankees, but it's nice to not have to face a guy who can strike you out 12 times in a game.
Yeah.
So they avoid him. But now back to this Saturday game, Schlittler versus Gausman. Really, really good pitching matchup.
Awesome pitching matchup. Kevin Gausman, I feel like he has our number because he has that damn splitter. And obviously so does Trey Savage. So I'm not excited about that. But if you're going to strike us out with splitters all game, at least we have Cam Schlittler on the other side, right?
Yeah.
I mean, at least we have that. I don't think the pitching matchups are necessarily favorable. I do like our pitching matchups. I think we do have the better pitchers in both games. Just terrible numbers against Savage. Not really great against Gausman either. So that worries me for sure.
And then we get to Game 3 on Sunday, 1:30 start. That'll be Will Warren against Patrick Corbin, a lefty the only lefty that the Yankees will face. So despite Paul Goldschmidt playing as well as he has been, does that mean he only plays in one of the games? Does he get in 2 of the games, right? I'll be curious to see how Boone kind of attacks that lineup-wise. And again, the big question just overall, the usage of VOLPE. We'll kind of see how they still feel about him. I mean, I don't think that they're going to change their opinion of him overnight, per se, but if he's still playing it short consistently, Caballero's in the outfield, whatnot, we'll see. But the other thing with the lefty, Corbin being on the mound, this should mean that even with Jones' strikeout numbers being kind of the bigger part of his game, or like his on his cons list, I expect he should be in the first 2 games.
Yeah.
And maybe he goes the 3rd game. But at the very least, we should get 2 games out of Spencer Jones this year.
Yeah, I would hope so. Although some of these, sometimes These splitter guys, they fare better against righties. Maybe with how much the Yankees have struggled with splitter pitchers in the past, maybe Boone goes that direction with a little more righties because they're a little more reverse splits when it comes to splitters. Righties usually just tend to hit better against that pitch. So we'll see. I hope we get Spencer Jones for 2 games. I think based on previous experience when we faced the Blue Jays, it seems like it's righty-lefty, like that they just like doing that. They don't really look at the reverse splits. I'm curious if Jason Dominguez makes an impact this series. I don't think so. I think his rehab's going to continue over the weekend as well. But obviously that changes. If he comes up here, that changes the whole Volpe situation, maybe even the Spencer Jones usage. Again, don't anticipate that happening. But worth it throwing out there. Like, who knows? Maybe Jason Dominguez is ready to go. But I don't think that will happen. So, yeah, I'm hopeful Spencer Jones gets at least 2 games in there.
So we got 3 games again against Toronto, with Corbin being the last one. Will Warren, we're looking for kind of a bounce back start. If you remember, his previous start was it against Boston? He had a start against, or was that
who are you talking about?
Will Warren? That was Cleveland on Monday.
Yeah, Cleveland. Yeah,
he had he
struggled on extended rest.
So we're looking for a bit of a comeback start from him.
Yeah, and I mean, extended rest is something that all pitchers handle differently. And I mentioned that might be something to look out for in the previous start. 7 days rest. That's a lot of rest for a pitcher that's usually on a 5-game schedule or 5-day schedule. So hopefully now back on the regular schedule, it'll be back to normal Will Warren. And he has some stuff to prove in Toronto. I mean, his last time he was in Toronto, he got shelled in that playoff game. And we were kind of wary about using him because he wasn't the Will Warren we've seen this year. Obviously, he's taken that next step, walking a lot less, striking out a lot more. So hopefully he carries that into Toronto and gets some revenge from last season.
So let's get to our series MVP predictions for this upcoming series. Andrew, you go first.
You go first.
Bro, I thought it was I pick first and then I pick first in the next episode. Is that not how this works?
No, you pick first today, which means you pick first for the next series. It's the same. If you go first for
first in both.
If you went first for Cleveland, you go first for Toronto.
Understood.
Next week, I'll go first in picking who actually won Toronto, and then
understood. Okay.
After that, yeah,
we'll
get this right eventually.
Eventually, I'll remember. I remember it now. I promise.
Okay.
From now on. Yeah, probably not.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see.
We'll hope by next episode.
God, you go first. Lead us off, man.
I'm gonna go with Ben Rice. Keep it plain and simple.
I like it.
It is the most vanilla pick I could have chose. But I think what it just comes down to is we're gonna need our big guy in there to show up. Like he was not the main focus of this Cleveland series, despite the Yankees sweeping and having some offensive success. He was involved, but he was not the Ben Rice we've seen over the course of this year. And now with no Judge in this lineup against guys like Savage and Gausman that give the Yankees trouble, I think this is at least 2 games in this series. They're going to rely heavily on a guy like Ben Rice to generate anything, because I do think, besides maybe Grisham, who's been very good at working walks and working counts, they're going to have trouble getting base runners on base. And so even if it doesn't result in runs, I do think Ben Rice would be one of the few to consistently get on base, maybe drive in some people that do get on. I think he's going to be the MVP, and they're going to rely heavily on the guy who's going to have to carry them for the most part until Judge comes back.
Yeah, I'm going to get a little funky with my series MVP, and it's just I don't have a lot of confidence in the guys that I've seen over and over again against Trey Savage and Kevin Gausman. So I'm not going to take the standard guys. I think Judge is like a decent pick in that spot, but obviously that's not someone I have at my disposal currently. So I'm going to do, for the second time in the last 3 episodes, I'm going to take Jose Caballero to be my series MVP. He's seemingly the only one on the offense that can put an at-bat together when there's a split finger involved. And I do think this is, again, another series without Judge. You're going to kind of have to manufacture runs. They did a good job of it in the last series, but they had some help with, Paul Goldschmidt hitting a homer, Ryan McMahon hitting a homer, Jazz hitting a homer. They were homer heavy, so to speak, and I don't think that's going to continue to be the case all the time. I think this is a series, especially against the Splitters, where they're going to be a lot less reliant on the home run. So if that's the case and it goes how I am envisioning, I think Jose Caballero is going to have a big role, as long as he doesn't sit for Anthony Volpe, and I hope I'm correct.
Please, no more Volpe in short.
Yeah.
That's what we're hoping for.
Just steal bases.
If you're taking one thing from this video,
Cabby,
that's our message.
Yeah.
We've seen enough.
I think that's a lot of people's message.
It was fun while it lasted. Caballero won the job fair and square. You made that known, and now it sounds like you're having second guesses. So
I think he's going to have a big series in Toronto, Mr. Caballero.
let's hope so.
Yeah, let's hope so. I think it's a sketchy pick, but he can hit the split finger,
Listen,
and that's what we're going to see.
With a series like this, you're right. Everyone sucks against you, Savage and Gosman. At this point, besides Rice, I wouldn't feel really even with Rice.
I thought about
matchup-wise,
Bellinger.
I'm not feeling that confident against you, Savage, because he hasn't hit well against him either.
I thought about Bellinger because he's kind of a reverse split guy. Like, he hits better against lefties, so pitches from righties that play better against righties, he would be better at. But yeah, I don't know. I felt like getting funky.
Fair enough.
Felt like getting funky.
This would
with
be
it.
the second time in the last 3 episodes you've picked Caballero.
Yeah, I did mention
MVP,
that.
so.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, he's
here.
just simply the best split finger hitter on the team, and we're going to see a hell of a lot of split fingers.
Saying a lot.
Yeah. And I don't think they're going to, shy away from the split finger when Jose Caballero's up there. So hopefully he gets some pitches to hit.
All right, Andrew. Well, any final thoughts going into this Toronto series before we get out of here?
Are you setting me up for another possible correct prediction here?
Some might say I am letting you aura farm. I'm farming the aura moment for you to potentially give the listeners one final moment. You're 2 for 2 so far.
Yeah, I'll take the aura farm. I'm gonna say Ryan McMahon has another opposite field home run in the series.
Wow. Okay.
That's what I will say.
Do you want to get even more specific and try and guess which game or off of which of the starters? If it's off the bullpen, whatever. But if you want to,
he's trying to make my prediction wrong by getting as specific as possible here.
I'll leave it as is then.
Ryan McMahon, opposite field.
Fair enough.
Yeah, he's been hot.
I like it.
I think it's worth mentioning, like, over the last 15 games, the only guy better than him on the Yankees is a guy that we've raved about a ton. It's been Trent Grisham. He's like the only guy better than Ryan McMahon in the last 15 games. So shout out to him.
Yeah.
Not walking a ton, still striking out a decent amount, but getting a lot of hits. That's how he's getting on base right now. So
as long as he's
making
making up for that with hits and homers instead of ground outs and flyouts, we'll take it.
Yeah,
But,
I mean,
you would like to see the walk numbers get up a little bit.
Oh, 100%.
They're not where they used to be last year.
You'd like to see them get up a little bit. And I polled you before the episode. I sent you a text earlier in the day today, and I sent you just a blank slate of stats. I sent you, now it includes today's game, but I sent you going into today's game. It was last 15 games for Ryan McMahon.
But I didn't know that.
No, you didn't know that.
It was a
you
blind
didn't know who
rank.
it was.
It was a blind stat
All
thing.
I showed him was a guy batting .318 with a .947 OPS over the last 15 games, and that was Ryan McMahon.
Yeah, no, he's been great.
So keep doing it, buddy.
Just get the walks up, and he'll be fantastic.
Get the walks up and keep playing great defense because
the catch to end the game today was not easy.
No, and if he continues to do what he's doing right now, if he bats near an 800 OPS the rest of the year, I mean, he's going to be a fantastic, valuable player for us.
I mean, I even think you said it like when they traded for him. If he was just a mid 700 OPS kind of guy with the glove, he's a fantastic, valuable player. So he is overperforming,
especially with
in
the
that
short
area
porch in right that he can hit it over at any time, and now we're seeing the short porch in left that he's even taken on a couple times. So there's some value there for sure if he can stay consistent.
So look out for Ryan McMahon this weekend against Toronto. Again, expect the series win, but we always hope for the sweep. Can the Yankees extend this 4-game winning streak that they are currently on? Can they make it 2 sweeps in a row? Maybe it's asking a little bit much, but we'll see. Yankees heading up to Toronto this weekend for what should be a fun one against the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
For Andrew, I'm Dylan saying thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment down below about anything we discussed, anything you disagree or agree with, or just any comment in general. We do appreciate hearing some feedback from you guys. And make sure to follow us on our social media handles here and anything in the description below. So once again, subscribe, leave a like, and let's go Yankees.